The date really wasn't going so well. She clicked her heels every chance she got against the linoleum floor of the diner, backlit by a cheesy red neon sign. She was less than radiant. I wanted her, my self-esteem wasn't letting me get close, and her impatience was going to be the inevitable reason I'd blame her for the crumbling of our relationship.
I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
I didn't look up at her when she said it. I just sat there staring at the spot where the neon light was hazily reflected in the tile. The place her feet had just been. Okay. I know it took too long for me to say it. Yes, really, I'm not completely unaware. If anything, I'm too aware. I'm held back by the crippling doubt if I'm not the only person who thinks this deeply about myself. What could that mean? A scream rang out in the diner. For a second, I couldn't move. The scuffling of chairs, the grunts, and the confusion, they held me still. Glued to my seat, my eyes flicking back from my shoes to the reflective tile. A shadow, but also a source of light. What was I looking at? I looked up at the open door to the outside. There was nothing. The door was open, but there was nothing there. I remember light. I remembered shadow, but nothing else. Looking around, everyone was still eating dinner. A couple of people looked uncomfortable, putting on jackets and shivering lightly, but no one was standing. No one was screaming. Everyone was poking at their food or laughing with their friends. What had just happened? I remember something. How and where was my date? I sat there for a full 15 minutes and she never came back. I don't know what I was expecting. Of course she would leave me to foot the bill and wait in the bathroom until I paid for it. It's not like I could just follow her into the women's room without garnering undue attention. A part of me really wanted to do it just to spite her, but then I would hate myself. The attention would really drive me insane. And that shadow, that light, was it an orb? Was it prismatic? The image is fading from my mind, but the memory doesn't. I remember the tile, the reflection in the linoleum. It was something. There was no more red from the neon, but there was almost pure white, and at the same time, shadow. It didn't make any sense to my mind. And the scream, hallucinations? I've never hallucinated anything I didn't understand. A scream, that makes sense, but that light was like nothing I've ever seen before. At least, not that I could remember. A waiter snapped me out of my daze. "Hey man, if you're done eating, I can take your plate and get you the check. How was dinner?" I nodded, mumbled out a half answer. "Yeah, it was good, thanks." As he was taking my plates, I took the check and walked towards the cash register. Standing there was a guy I knew from high school. In fact, he was one of my only friends from high school. Well, my only friend, period. I looked him in the eyes. Dan Stern, with an I. He was a sweet guy. He's the kind of friend who keeps an extra bed in his room just in case I get thrown out of the apartment. I mean, it's really not that uncommon an occurrence, but the fact that he still has the desire to invite me into his place when things aren't going so well for me, what can I say? I like the guy, and I'm wholly undeserving of his friendship. "Hey, Dan." I handed him the check and tried not to look too upset about the way my date went. "Hey, dude! Sorry your date never showed, man, but at least you only had to pay for yourself." He laughed, a full-bodied, ringing thing that might have made some of the diners look up if they weren't so used to it by now. Here, everyone's a regular. His wording threw me off, though. What do you mean? She got up halfway through the meal, but didn't stand me up. I'm pretty sure she's still locked up in the bathroom. He looked at me weird, then smirked. "You know, your sense of humor still takes me a while to process sometimes. Guess I'm just not on your level. Would you look at this? Your check here says, dinner for one, half price. On me." I decided not to press the issue, just grateful that I got dinner for cheaper than cheap and didn't have to worry about my friend feeling sorry for me. "By the way," he said, If you feel like waiting another 15, I can take you home. My shift ends then. I shrugged. Don't you guys close in a half hour? That's what staff is for. I just get in their way. Besides, Kyle knows how to lock up. I laughed. Kyle might as well be a fungus for all the life skills he had. It was almost a guarantee that even though I didn't work there, I could tell Kyle absolutely did not know how to lock up. Back in high school, he was a jerk, but the kind of jerk who would sooner fall into the toilet than give someone a swirly. Everyone loved the guy. He wasn't a bad dude, he seemed to be in a world of his own. I can only imagine that's how other people feel about me. The difference is, he was endearing, and everything he said sounded like a joke, even if he meant it mean. So people always took it as a joke. If I told a joke, people just thought I was trying to insult them. But I digress. Yeah, I can wait at my table. Alright, bro, see you in 10. This guy. I shambled back to my seat, catching the glaze of the tile reflecting the red neon. In that moment, the sign flickered, reminding me of the shadow. I'm pretty sure I was just crazy. Heck, I might have even just been daydreaming. Regardless, this chick couldn't hole herself up in the bathroom this long. I didn't see her try and sneak out while I was at the register, so maybe I could wait at the table and stare at the bathroom. If she heard me taking the check, maybe she would think I was gone and I could just wait. The minutes passed and I thought of something I could say when she came out. But unfortunately, the time never came. Patrons left, the minutes continued to tick by. Eventually, Dan thrust himself into the seat in front of me. Ugh, sorry man, closing time. Can't believe that many people were even in here at night. I wanted to duck a half hour ago. He looked tired, but it didn't look like anything could wipe the grin off his face. This guy. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He could think of things to smile about at a funeral, remembering good times with the newly deceased instead of crying over the loss like everybody else. You can't get off work quick enough, can you? Even owning the place. Yeah, what about it? Being the boss just means I should be able to leave whenever I want. But nah, the crew needs me. I nodded. His heart was always in the right place. Speaking of the right place... Hey Dan, I think I saw a woman go into the bathroom earlier and not come out. You should probably check it out. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. We clean out the bathrooms at the end of the night every day. No one could hide in there much longer if there is someone. Almost as if on cue, a cute member of the staff with a curly mop of hair walked into the bathroom with a mop, a bucket, and a vacuum cleaner. I can check for you if you want, buddy, said Dan. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Dan nodded and stood up, walking towards the bathroom door. He opened it and waved me over. I joined him by the door. Empty. You sure you saw someone? He didn't really look that concerned. No, actually, probably just my imagination. I think I fell asleep waiting for my date to start. That must be it. Alright, well, grab your stuff. Staff's almost done and I'm gonna lock up. Dan was eager to help me out, and the last thing I wanted to do was press the issue. After all, I probably was just dreaming the whole time. On the way home, I looked up at the road around me. Suddenly, I felt more aware of my surroundings. Almost like... I looked back down. My head was starting to feel fuzzy, but I knew that if I stared at my feet, it would pass. You alright, man? Dan asked, not looking away from the road. Yeah, I'm fine, In that moment, I was overcome. The sound of the door to the back seat of his SUV opening was rapid. One moment it was dark and quiet, and the next it was loud and blustery, the wind pounding against my eardrums as the door flopped in the wind. Bright lights shone everywhere around me, and I screamed, "Look out!" I looked up, shadows overtaking my vision. Nothing. I turned to look at Dan. He was just driving, still with half a smirk on his face. I felt a bead of sweat run down my forehead, my throat raw from having just screamed. When I tried to talk, my voice squeaked, a little bit scratchy. Dan! I cleared my throat and coughed a little bit. Dan, did you just hear something? He turned his attention to me and shook his head slowly, pursing his lips. Can't say I did, besides that middle school level voice crack. The physical effects were still there. Whatever just happened really happened. Why can't I remember? He dropped me off at home. Pulling up to the curb, I yanked open my door and jumped out, thanking him. He waved goodbye, giving a friendly, "See ya!" and peeled off into the darkness. Stepping into the apartment building, swiping my card against the scanner, and walking up the 2 stories of steps, those were all instinct. I was lost in thought, moving in strides that probably didn't look natural. As I opened my door, slamming it shut before I had time to realize that my neighbors would probably hate me for making this kind of noise so late at night, I peered into my empty apartment. Cream-colored carpeting, a small kitchen composed of a microwave, stove, and refrigerator, and a bathroom opposite my bedroom were all clearly visible, even in the darkness. I kicked off my shoes, threw my socks into my bedroom as I closed the door to the bathroom behind me. Here, I felt safe. A quick shower should probably do me some good before I pass out for the night. I turned the faux crystal knob to the faucet in the bathtub, pulling the curtain and depressing the small metal button that diverted the flow of water from the bathtub's faucet to the shower head. The only good thing about this building was how quickly the water went from buckets of ice, barely warm enough to be considered liquid, to scalding enough to singe your eyebrows. The hotter a shower, the better I feel. Within moments, I was stripped down completely, ready to step into the shower as water vapor rose from the floor of the tub to the ceiling. It poured out around the curtain like steam from a sauna, funneled out of the sides and rose up out of the slits of open air, where the rusted metal rings held the dingy beige shower curtain to the chrome bar. I don't know why I bothered to use it. I live here alone, and the curtain is just a reminder of that. There's no need for privacy when there's no one who could even threaten your alone time with promises of fun or company. I stepped inside, letting the water soak me and beat my back relentlessly. My hair clung to the sides of my face, draped down over my ears, and muffled the sound of the water smacking against the ceramic tub. Each droplet felt like a warm, loving embrace. But water has no compassion. It would just as soon fill my lungs and leave me to die if I would let it. All water seeks is to fill its container, to take the shape of whatever it can sneak its way into. Even then, to attribute that much motive to it is pointless, beyond stupid. Water has no desire, simply in nature. Physics don't live, don't love, don't explore. Only one species even thinks of these things, and that species has become disillusioned to what they've found. I shuddered, standing in a growing pool of water that was up to my ankles. I can't shower for long, or it backs up the plumbing. I flip off the water, pulling back the curtain. The room is brighter than I remember, but somehow way foggier. I step out, wrapping a towel around my lower half. Common decency for an empty apartment, I guess. I looked into the foggy mirror. When it's all fogged over, the hairline fractures along the sides and top of the mirror aren't as noticeable. Everything's just white, soft, blurry. My door opened. My heart skipped a beat. I stood there, dripping wet, feeling the chill of the apartment infiltrate the warmth of my sanctum. I couldn't look away from the mirror. In the foggy mirror, I saw only darkness. Until the darkness changed. Shaking, afraid, unable to even breathe, I witnessed in the mirror as a shadowy, smoky illusion entered the light of my bathroom and became prismatic. I still cannot even begin to understand the light. It had a depth to it, a depth that can't even exist in a confined space. If a box is only 2 feet wide and 2 feet deep, it has a volume. This prism of light had a volume far surpassing its physical dimensions. Even in the fogginess of the mirror, it cut through like a blade, like a chainsaw carving through my retinas, yet somehow leaving me feeling warm and breathless. Chill, heat, light, shadow all played games with my brain. Concurrent opposites bombarded my senses and I couldn't handle it. I turned to look at nothing. I screamed, collapsing to the floor in a crumpled pile. When I awoke, I was still lying on the floor of the bathroom. Now all the fog was gone and the floor was slicked with droplets of condensation. I don't remember what I saw when I saw nothing, but I know it was there. All this, the lights, the shadows, whatever it is, I have to get to the bottom of it. I just can't let this be a hallucination. Whatever it is, it's following me. But whenever I look at it, I don't remember what I saw. And anyone else who sees it, they forget too. But I know that I see something. And when I do, it makes me forget. But it can't make me forget the feeling. It can't make me forget the fact that I saw it before I could even look at it. I have to find out what's going on. I have to find out what this thing is. But if I do, will it make me forget? What if this isn't the first time? It always leaves something different, but how can I know that for sure? What if it isn't taking away memories, but planting memories? I don't know that I can update this. I don't know what will happen to me, or if anything will come of writing this down. But I know something is happening, and I won't forget. I won't let it make me forget that it exists. No matter what happens, I have to find the truth. Even if I find something worse than death, I have to know. Because I can't keep living this way. Hey everybody, it's Phil again, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening all the way to the end. I know it's kind of a long story, and I personally listen to really long horror stories on YouTube, being a huge fan of just listening to them as I go to sleep and all that good stuff. Anyway, thanks for listening to the video. Feel free to leave comments or suggestions or send me stories personally, and I'll always be happy to get back to them, respond to every comment that I can. Subscribe if you want to see more. I don't know if you should ring the notification bell because that sounds like it's not necessarily working anymore either. I could be wrong, but thank you so much for supporting me in these videos. And I am happy to continue doing it for as long as you guys want it. So I'll see you guys later, and thank you once again.